Unfortunately, just because you are behind bars, it doesn't mean you stop committing crimes. In a raid at Odi and Baviaaspoort Correctional Centres, 4 convicted inmates were found and charged for running an extortion scam from their prison cells. The charges include extortion, impersonation of a police officer, money laundering, forgery and uttering. For more on this, I'm joined by Hawks spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Philani Nkwalase. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. It really is a fascinating story. Some shocking revelations. Talk to us about what was uncovered here. Okay, Colonel, if I can ask you to unmute, just so you give us some detail on what exactly happened and how you uncovered it all.
Good evening to you. My humble apologies for that. Good evening to you and good evening to the viewers. And thank you very much for having us. Around about this time, last night, our team was busy in the 2 correctional services that you have mentioned. And of course, we were working together with the correctional services themselves, members from the correctional services, the team called emergency service team. And during the search, we have found about 36 cell phones that were kept by the inmates in prison in their cell. And of course, you would know that the inmates are not allowed to have such devices according to the correctional services rule. But what made the Hawks actually go and conduct that search and seizure is the fact that 4 of those inmates were actually linked to a scam that has been going on for quite some time. According to our investigation that started around March this year, we received a couple of complaints. Around 3 of the complaints were, male victims, where people tried to extort money from those victims. And of course, the victims, the 3 that initially complained, did not actually make any booking with the sex workers. However, because they had made an inquiry and then that money was extorted from them, so they came forward. And I can mention 1 did not make any payment, while others, out of fear of prosecution, although they did not make any services, they ended up paying the money. 1 paid a total amount of 110,000 rand, while another one paid around about 60,000 rand. So that was what triggered the investigation. At the time, it was suspected that perhaps these are police officers that are working with the sex workers. And of course, investigation led us to the correctional services, and we found a syndicate of these inmates having cell phones, doing this, sending voice notes to these male victims. And when we followed that out, because some of them are male victims, of course, did pay, and we found a quite huge amount of money that was deposited, and the money was actually transferred to other more accounts. So that's what led to the raid last night. And we found those cell phones, and 4 of the suspects were actually served with a warrant of arrest, and are expected to appear in court on Monday.
So 4 of the suspects served with a warrant of arrest within prison already?
Correct. That is correct. They are already serving different sentences in the correctional facility, and they were in possession of a smartphone. And with these smartphones, they were extorting money from victims that may have inquired on people that were on prostitutes, perhaps, call it that, who were selling online through the online platforms.
So these inmates, Colonel, created profiles of police of police officers while they were in prison. Maybe give us some depth on how exactly they did that. How did they source the photos? How did they manage to do that? And as you make mention of money, you know, looking at some of the paperwork here, it was a substantial amount over the period between May and August of 2022. We're speaking the total amounts of around 760,000 and 560,000 being paid into two separate accounts provided to the victims to deposit money.
Yes, correct. Firstly, let me get to the first question because it's very important. How these gentlemen, this suspect, conducted their crime. One, they would go on Facebook and social media to mine information of unsuspecting police officers. Maybe some would be in their uniform, others would be private clothing, but known to police officers. And they would take their pictures and use their name. And what they would do in those voice notes and WhatsApp messages they would send the victims, they would even present through WhatsApp, would present a warrant of arrest that is looking for this victim, male victim, for the crime that they've committed. And basically the crime would be, they would be told that you have committed rape. I am, for instance, I am Lieutenant Colonel Philani Nkwalase, serving you with this with this warrant of arrest because the prostitute has come forward and complained of rape. You allegedly paid with fake money, and I need to arrest. So this is the story. This is their modus operandi again. And of course, upon giving that, and then they would then start threatening the suspect, saying, if you were to go in now, DNA would be then acquired on this matter. It would take 9 months before you get a bail and all sorts of things. So you lose your freedom. So you rather pay, and then through that payment, we could negotiate with the prosecutor, the bank, to ensure that the case go away. So some would give in to that because of the threat that they were given. And of course, some of those that no, they did not make any service in as much as they have inspired, others would not pay, and they then came forward to us. And we suspect that this has been going on for quite some time. And of course, through the statement that we've issued today, which serves as an awareness also not only to the male victim to come forward, but also to those that are involved to stop that kind of crime. A lot of people have come forward and contacted us and said that and identified that this has been going on for some time, and they have come forward to say there were some of the victims that were kept.
So when are they expected to appear in court, or has that process happened already?
No, we served them with court summons on Monday in the prison, and of course they are expected to appear in court on Monday for them. And of course, we want to appeal to the public to say you are not allowed under any circumstances to pay a police officer, whether they are promising you a job, whether there is a crime that you've committed, because it will put you in even more trouble, because now you could be charged for corruption. So we really want to appeal to those that may have been victims to make means, contact us. Our numbers are readily available. They can contact us, and so that they can assist in unlocking some of this investigation. As you mentioned, the amounts that are on those two accounts, it can be that those amounts were deposited only by the three complainants that came forward. Yeah. There has to be more others, and of course we can reach them, but we want them to come forward because there has been electronic transaction, and our team, which is very much capable cybercrime, is in assisting the corruption unit investigation that is doing that. So we really appeal to them to come forward so that we can shorten the investigation. But however, if they don't, we are able to find them and subpoena them.
Perhaps, Lieutenant Colonel, as we have you on air, of course I'm not trying to ambush you, but in a separate matter, are you able at all to confirm media reports that former President Jacob Zuma's daughter is being investigated with links to the July unrest?
Well, I must say that we also in the police we try to not have too many voices speaking on one matter. My colleague is dealing with that matter, and all inquiries should be directed to Brigadier Mbambo, and all inquiries on this matter they can be directed. So we try not to have two voices speaking on one matter, lest we may create confusion. And of course, there were suspects that were arrested, and they appeared in court. But our colleagues have made that application, and they will continue. And of course, the investigation into those unrest is continuing. But of course, my colleague is dealing with that.
Okay. Very well. Thank you so much. We fully understand. Thank you for your time, Lieutenant Colonel Philani Nkwalase, who speaks for the Hawks.